Drag racing fan, Between the Slicks, live once again here on the Monday Morning Racer platform and beyond. Hello, I'm Lee Kraft, aka the Monday Morning Racer. We're ready to talk drag racing. In particular, we'll be talking IHRA drag racing, the International Hot Rod Association, with the most recent Fuel Funny Car winner in just a few moments, Dan Hicks, who is certainly no stranger to the world of drag racing. He has been out there for a long time, whether it is crewing, whether it is building these machines, whether it's piloting his Heat Seeker Fuel Altered, and now also in the Fuel Funny Car ranks, not just as a competitor, but as a winner. A good showing his first time ever at Milan Dragway, now Durana Dragway there in Milan, Michigan, with a runner-up finish, and then roll that into the next IHRA Nitro Outlaw Series race, and he picks up a win in a rematch against Dale Worsham there at Durana Raceway, formerly National Trail Raceway, outside of Columbus, Ohio, the east of Columbus there in the state of Ohio. The state of Ohio has been jumping with drag racing this year. Some great events at great facilities have took place, and it has been a hotbed of drag racing news this year. And speaking of drag racing news, a lot has dropped yesterday, today, and I can tell you, be on the lookout for news from Reading, Pennsylvania, Maple Grove Raceway tomorrow. News that will be historic in the world of drag racing for 2025 and 2026 and beyond. So stay tuned to your drag racing news outlets, and I hope that you would choose Monday Morning Racer for such news. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and I've got to text Dan. He texted me. He might be having some technical difficulties, so we're going to drop in a word, come back. Hopefully we'll have him soon, and we'll dive into the comment sections right here on Between the Slicks. So hit the like button, hit the share button, dive into the comments section, and this word from a big supporter, Pete Dove and Dove Fuels, here on Between the Slicks. Fly right in your motorsports endeavors with products and services from Dove Fuels. Pete Dove is the owner of Dove Fuels. He is a racer himself in a nitro methane burning fuel altered, dubbed Back from the Ashes. He races with Driven Racing Oils, which produces a 70-weight nitro oil, but that is not all they make. They make applications for you on the oval track, whether that's dirt or asphalt, and for even you, the bracket racer, on the drag strip. And if you need nitromethane, Pete Dove at Dove Fuels is the one to call for a drum, or even supplying for an entire series, as he is the official supplier of nitro for Nitro Chaos. If it's nitromethane or Driven Racing Oils, you need to contact Dove Fuels. Gentle name, hardcore product. Well, speaking of Dove Fuels, I know behind the scenes there are some interesting developments happening. We are awaiting official word, but the IHRA is going to get a bit more, I can't say it quite that way. That would just give it away. But it's going to get interesting. It's going to get interesting. It's already interesting over there, but it is going to have some... depending on how I say it, it's just going to give it completely away. Let's just say the ticket at Dragway 42 is going to have a spectacular addition to it that drag racing fans certainly want to see. Deloney, V8 Motorsports, we'll talk all motorsports with Mr. Hicks, and we've got him in the green room. He's ready to go, so what we're going to do, brief break. We'll transition after this brief word. We'll have Mr. Hicks on. We'll talk drag racing. We'll talk motorsports. We'll talk it all right here on Between the Slicks. So, briefly, this word concerning what is upcoming out in Tucson with Fuel Altered Chaos. Cannot wait for what Chris Graves has got going on later on this year, toward the end of the year, out there at Tucson for Fuel Altered chaos.
Race fans, get ready. The inaugural Fuel Altered Chaos rocks historic Tucson Dragway Friday night and Saturday, November 14th and 15th. Ground-pounding fuel altered from across the country go into 200-mile-per-hour combat with historic names like the Moth, Rat Poison, Bradford's Fiat, and Sheepherder. Take on new school hitters like Cone Hunter, Witch Doctor, Blown Scentless, and many more. See Bodacious Backup Girl, Header Flame, and Run What You Brung drag racing like Tucson hasn't seen in decades.
Kids 12 and under are free. Visit TucsonDragway.com for more information.
November 14th and 15th. Be there!
Dan Hicks, welcome to Between the Slicks, man. Good to have you on. Good to chat with you this afternoon. Where are you coming from?
I'm here at the shop in Brownsburg. Took a quick lunch so I could sign on with you guys and talk some racing in the middle of the day.
Awesome. Spectacular. Hey, well, let's dive into that right there since you're in Brownsburg. You're at the shop. What shop are you referring to? And bring everyone up to speed on the House of Speed and what it is you do beyond just wheeling these machines.
So inside Bob Tasca's shop is their race team and the Scrappers race team, Mike Salinas. And together they own the House of Speed that myself and Aaron Brooks put together. Nothing but dragsters and funny cars, nitro only. I mean, with the exception of I actually front half Dan Dietrich's dragster not too long ago, but mainly just dragsters and funny cars on the fuel level. Building headers, front half and cars, mountain bodies. Got a body mount going for Jim Head right now, and developing me in the fab shop, and it's pretty good setup, and they've been supporting me. Aaron and Todd Okahara and all the Scrappers bunch, and along with a whole bunch of crew chief guys. Rob Flynn's been a big player in educating me on putting this car together and trying to get it together right the first time. And, Dom Lagana went to that first race with us and crew chiefed it for us and got us off on the right foot. And we decided to just take the reins like we have in our other car. And, it's a steep learning curve, but we just thought to just tackle it right out of the gate. My son and I are going to call the shots, and I'll still be leaning on a few people smarter than me to make sure we don't, overstep our boundaries. But, it's the future of our team. So we just thought, let's just get started right away. And we're learning all this stuff together, this advanced, management, cannon, all the clutch flows and all that good stuff. We're going to learn it all together. And I think it'll just make us stronger in the end. So far, so good.
So far, so good. That is certainly an accurate statement. And before we look at all that good that's been happening in the International Hot Rod Association with the Fuel Funny car that you are piloting, let's talk about Heat Seeker Racing and what got you to this point. So, in particular, your introduction to drag racing so people understand, and then give me the specifics, the down low on the altered in your camp.
Back in 2014, I got a phone call from my buddy John Kegley, and prior to that, I had the Heat Seeker Fuel Altered built. I think I started that thing back in like 2001, and then we started a family in 2002, and I had that car built while we were raising a family, and then we just put it on the side. That thing sat stationary for like 10 years, but I never gave up. I never gave up on it. We just raised our kids, and I was coaching little league and football and basketball and everything, that goes along with being a good parent, and always been plugged into my kids. And, then when 14 came around, the Bakersfield and all the Bowsers and all them, they decided to run fuel altered. So we put that whole program together in a matter of 2 or 3 months, with the help of my young kids at that point. I think Blaine was 8 and Donovan was 10. And, Blaine slipped off the dang milk crate that was our makeshift step into the trailer and broke his arm during that endeavor. But, we showed up to the March meet there at 14 the week prior, and we needed to do some testing, and I needed to get licensed, and it rained out. I think it rained out Friday, it rained out Saturday, and on Sunday we made a couple of good hits, and they signed off on my license, and I stayed down there in Southern California at my brother's place, and we built some stands and some jacks, got ready for the race the following weekend. And Mark Lee showed up with Kegley and Mosby and my family, and both my boys, and we rolled out. I think we qualified like mid-pack or something, fifth maybe. And we just kept making good runs and kept figuring it out as we went. And next thing you know, we're in eliminations on race day and going rounds and stuck in the winner's circle first time out. And even came back the following year and won it again. And went to the finals on the third year. And Radar Roger Lechtenberg put me in my place and got the win. It was a good race, but he's a good racer too, and he got the W that day. But we damn near won it 3 times in a row. But I think we've won it 4 times in the altered. I won it once in my nostalgia funny car in their exhibition class. What do they call that? Pro Nitro or whatever that one was. But we've done a lot of match racing, and we've had some fantastic seasons. I can't tell you what year it was, but we went one season where we never lost a single matchup all season long, whether we were qualifying or racing or match racing or whatever. And so that thing's just been on rails from day one. And it's been a lot of fun to race because the thing's easy to work on. It's got a minor brother motor in it. You pull the heads off and leave the manifold on it, and it's a tough engine. It's reliable. It's got great parts, great oiling. It doesn't have any built-in issues. And so it's been a lot of fun running that fuel altered. But, some of the restrictions on the time, like running the 6.0 deal, we've done that for quite a few years. And, one Bakersfield, one Boise, it was kind of getting stale. And the match racing's pretty fun because we can step on it a little bit. And the car will run 550s. We've ran mid to low 60s with it. And but I don't know, this whole funny car thing developed, and I was actually had that funny car put together as a fuel altered that I bought from Frank Owsley, and it was all, it's all painted and lettered and, fully assembled, and it's been ready to race for a couple of months now. And it was just tornado threat or weather, or NHRA canceled our test another time. And I was actually in Columbus at the first IHRA race when I got the message on Saturday that our test coming up that Tuesday got canceled. And that kind of prompted me to I was tired of waiting. So I talked to some of the IHRA people, talked to Scott Palmer. And right then and there, we decided when we left Columbus on Sunday that we were going home. And we kind of finalized some things on the altered. I scaled it, got some information that I wanted before I tore it apart. And then we tore that thing, all the fuel altered stuff back off of it, and had it all ready to go. Went home that night, and we had the funny car body. I got a couple of these funny car bodies I bought from Force and had them up in the hayloft in the barn. And we flew that thing back down and got it on the ground. And I mean, me and my boys and Rich McPhillips Sr. and Rich Jr. I mean, we thrashed on this car like you have to. I'm not the only one that thrashes on their stuff, but we pulled out all the stops and we worked till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, every single day, every day through the week, through the weekend. Trying to work during the day and keep my job, and and then 5 o'clock on, we just flailed on my car. And with the support of having it down here at the House of Speed, I had it up on the table. It was a lot easier to work on, and I had to retree the thing in the front, and it was just an undertaking, and it took everybody's efforts to get there. So we didn't expect any success. We just showed up to hopefully make some runs and learn and get down the track and just start progressing. And man, I just got slapped right square in the face with a lucky stick, I guess, because it just usually doesn't go like this. But we're thankful, and we're happy, and I appreciate everybody that's pitched in along the way.
All right, Dan, that first time you showed up with the fuel funny car, that was certainly a spectacular outing. We're going to take a look at the final round, then give me the breakdown of rolling in on the property and going rounds, doing interviews, and being successful. We're going to take a look at the final now.
Congratulations, Dale Worship.
All right, so Dale obviously got the win. He streaked away, but you rolled out with a, well, car to see the track with for the first time, and y'all get it done. Go round and establish, hey, Mr. Hickson team, we're here and we're real.
Yeah, I'm surrounded by good people, whether it be just good people in general, good mechanics. You know, I brought my kids up in the world of drag racing and sprint car racing, and we're all hands on, and we all know how important it is to do your job and do it well. And there's not somebody coming up behind you to double check your work, because we just ain't got time for that. So everybody takes pride in their work. We work together. Even the non-family members are family to us, because, you know, I've known like Clint Thompson since I was, probably maybe even 10, 11, 12 years old. Somewhere in there is when we met, back when my Uncle Dave raced Sifka, and then Ross Davison joined in, and he was a crew member on Clint's funny car as well as I was. Probably, what's that, back in about 12. So we're, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, back when we were doing that. And yeah, it's just it's easy to blend in, and to work together when we've all worked together before, and we're all in this, with the same dream. Whether I'm in the seat or not, it's everybody else's dream to be a part of it, or some of them wish they could drive it as well. But it's just great to share in this, and share in the success. And obviously we don't have the fastest car out there. Knew that from the get-go. No matter how well I make this thing run, I'm going to be the underdog. It's got a 70-gallon fuel pump and one mag, and but we enjoyed making the most of that. And it's a little cheaper learning curve. We just ain't got the big bad budget to go, run a car with a 117-gallon fuel pump. And and those lessons, when it drops a valve or something, it's going to be catastrophic. Not saying that mine won't, but whatever happens when it happens would be a little less catastrophic when you got a little less fuel, but it'll still eat parts. We had a big scare the weekend when I think his first round did the burnout, and it hit the throttle stop, and then it spit the throttle stop off, and thing revved up to 10,200 RPM. And I caught that as fast as I could, but barely quick enough, because that thing could have hung the rods out of it right there. And hell, I was afraid to back. I didn't know if I should shut it off, and I was backing up, and I thought, well, Karen's not slipping any oil, so that's good. And I backed up, and they raised the body, and I'm like, well, it seems to be running on 8 cylinders. It seems okay. And thought, you know what, here we go. But when I pulled up to stage that thing, I thought, well, fire bottles are on the right, and here we go. So I was 50-50 on whether I was going to make it to the finish line, or whether I was going to blow up or not. But I surely wasn't going to throw in the towel at that point. So luckily we got away with it and got the win, and pulled that rack out and set it aside and retire that one for good. But we pulled the heads off and changed heads and made sure that we did everything we could to avoid that catching up with us, in the further rounds. But just take them one at a time. And even Dell's mentioned to me after that miler, he goes, I knew you were going down the racetrack. So he made sure he went down the racetrack. And I don't know if the racing on Sunday there in Columbus was to my advantage, but boy, just about the time his car starts charging and pulling away from me, down track is where he started spinning the tires in Columbus. So lucky me, I just blew right by him and didn't even think that I got the win. I thought he was, because it's hard to tell. I didn't see him getting squirrely. I just seen his car just, squirt by as I went past. But I thought he was at the finish line shutting off. And I thought, man, I drove it way past the finish line, but he wasn't to the finish line yet in hindsight. And that's why that's why I felt like I went so far past the finish line, which I think I did also. But just sometimes it's better be lucky than good. And I think our team is really good. And I think we also generate some luck with all the hard work and preparation that we always do.
Let's take a look at that final there at Columbus, where Dan Hicks here picks up the win against Dale Worsham. There it is. In a rematch with Dale Worsham, you pick up the win. Take us inside the cockpit there, staging. You got an opportunity for a win. You know you might not quite have all the horses that Dale Worsham has got. On paper, it's like, man, Dale's got this, but we don't race on paper. We put them in the beams, and we see what happens down to the stripe, and whoever gets there first turns on a win light. And as Dale is streaking away, and yet you stay in the throttle, what is going through your mind? And then he turns sideways and you go by him. Take us into the cockpit with you.
Oh, I was just, keeping calm. And, as we pulled into pre-stage, I thought, you know what, I might as well try and bump it in a little bit. And so I damn near got caught bumping it in. I mean, I didn't have the best light, but I was trying to roll it in and either turn out the top bulb or just roll it in plenty deep and try and get a little bit of ET on the light there. And I was bumping it in, and the car wasn't really moving like I expected it to. So I caught myself kind of bumping it as we were both staged. And you got to be careful with that. You're looking at the wrong lights. And but anyway, I knew he probably left on time, and I thought I might be a tick late. But he was out my window. But unlike the first race, he was out there, car and a half or whatever, and not pulling away. About the time I expected him to just pull away, where I was probably gonna click it off, he didn't pull away. And all of a sudden he just, I just shot by him down there. And like I said, I wasn't even like celebrating in the car or anything. I didn't think I won. I just thought he was at the finish line, and I drove past the finish line. It's hard to tell down there, especially looking out the windows of these funny cars. I mean, the finish line's not at the scoreboard, it's back. You got these little, tractor signs on the wall that you can't hardly see going by. And it's just tough to know exactly where the finish line's at. But I turned the corner down there in the shutdown area to basically stop. And I turned to the right, and they're waving me over to the left where they give the interviews. I'm thinking, what are they waving me over there for? Maybe they want to interview us both. And so I pull over there, and, and I pop up out of there, and I said, who won? And he goes, you won. And that's when the excitement started to set in. So I'm glad I didn't break my body jumping up and down on top of it. But can't tell you how happy I was to get the win like that. By far the biggest win in my career, counting any racing I've ever done or been affiliated with. But ecstatic is probably not even a strong enough word. And just to support, like Scott Palmer shows up in the winner's circle with his yardstick so he can measure my head, see how swollen my head is. And we've had a blast every time out, and just being around all these people that are there having a good time racing their own cars or just hanging out. I mean, we're just living a high life. The laughs, your face hurts by the end of the week, and you laugh so much, and just burning nitro and making friends and enjoying the racing I'm doing with the friends I've already had. So it's pretty outstanding. And I get just so many compliments on the car that I couldn't even count them all. And it's just hard work and dedication. We got a vision, and me and my boys kind of chase this together somewhat. And they got their own race cars. They both, Donovan's got a Dwarf car he races, and Blaine's got a 305 wing sprint car. And so we're going Saturday night to race sprint cars here with Blaine. So we raced as a family. We moved out here from Oregon as a family, and we're really enjoying life. My wife's a big supporter, Karen. She takes care of us, and we do a lot as a family, and we're super tight, and we're just living life. We're back here where it's sprint cars and drag racing, and that's why we landed here. And we got just, I don't know, no regrets, I guess. It was a big undertaking, but we're trying to get a shop built here at home before the weather sets in, and got a lot of irons in the fire. But we just keep plowing forward and take one day at a time, and see basically what happens next. I can't believe the instant success we've had. I thought I might have a chance at some of the 8th mile races towards the end of the year with being a little bit outgunned, but shoot, we've already taken care of business at the real track. So just super thankful for Daryl and and just a pleasure to be around all these guys at the racetrack and getting to know them better. And Dale Worsham's always been a class act, and I'm really thankful that he's the guy that I did get to race in the finals. So I haven't met him in any elimination round except for the finals yet. So I like having the showdown with who's probably the biggest dog on the property. And not like I just outgunned him, but hey, you got to be in it to win it. And I didn't give up, and neither did he. But boy, it was a good save on his part to not crash the car. And others might have crashed that car, where Dale Worsham, being the driver that he is, salvaged it. And fortunate for us, we got the $25,000 bonus to go on top of the $25,000 runner up that we already knew we had. So to win $50,000 is insane, and it's definitely going in the right place. So we appreciate that.
Massive win for sure. And speaking of Dale, Delaney V8 Motorsports, he wants to know, what did Dale have to say at the top end? And was he as shocked as you were about losing and it not being a win, or was he just ecstatic that he held on to it? Because I've watched that footage from my angle and slowed it down and been like, wow, he was out of shape.
Yeah, he was out of shape. I didn't know it at that point, so I didn't really know why they were saying that, what they were saying, or what they were even talking about, because I didn't see it. But yeah, I heard him make a comment of, I wouldn't do that again, or something. I think somebody told me that they had something wrong with the steering, and the steering wheel wasn't straight, or this or that. And I'm like, man, only a guy like Dale Worsham could even pull that off to get it that far down the racetrack, if that's the case. But hell of a save on his part, and he's a class act. He's I just built him a couple sets of headers here at work that he had on the car. So House of Speed was representing funny car headers on both those cars, because they're on mine as well. And but he gives me props, and he's willing to answer a question there. Like the first race down in the shutdown area, after he had beat me, my car just out of nowhere, I'm halfway down the shutdown and it blows the injector. I'm damn near clean off the motor. Just blew the top of it out, and he was quickly to come over and offer suggestions that you need a blower luber on there, and that might help alleviate that problem. And so just simple things that we didn't quite have, all the components we thought we did, but we're lacking that one. And whether that was the problem or not, we made it through the second race without it backfiring, so it didn't seem like it hurt. But yeah, no, it's a big effort. I got friends back in Washington that are helping me out a little bit financially. John Bredfield and Eric Kroom. He's from Summit Attachments and Machinery. He's got a great website of all the steep slope logging equipment that we used to build when we moved out here from Washington. We're from Southern Oregon, but we actually moved out here to Indiana from Washington. We lived up there for about 5 years. So, but they all love drag racing. John and Eric do, and they're supporting me at the track, and helping me out a little bit here and there, whether it be with some parts purchases or buying fuel. And they know how much this stuff costs to keep it going, and super appreciative to have everybody on board. Little Joe, hired him for doing the bottom end. He's got experience from Robert Height's car and Alexis DeJoria and the Coletta camp, and he was looking to do some kind of part-time racing. And I said, man, I got a deal for you. So he's going to be our bottom end guy from here on out. And that really helped my brother and I to not be doing the bottom and pulling the heads. And that first race, I tell you, we worked like dogs. It took all of us till about Tuesday or Wednesday the next week before you felt normal again. And we had Palmer's guys over there helping us from the semis to the finals at that race, and barely got it turned around. But everybody's there to help and pitch in. And like I said, we were just flailing and learning, and trying just not to make any mistakes. And Dom made the right calls, and no parts fell off the car, and started every time and seemed to go down the racetrack, and a little bit of progression, but we just kind of maintained. The thing come out running pretty damn good right out of the gates. We kind of just wanted to make laps. We barely made a 300-foot checkout run on that Friday, and then we got shut off for a header leak on the Friday night session. I was really pumped to make a Friday night session in the funny car, and got shut off. So here we go into eliminations on Saturday, and hadn't even made a run past 300 foot yet. And I told Dom, I said, man, if it sounds good and it feels good and I don't see him, I said, I'm going for it. I said, I'm here to race. And he goes, man, you better be careful. these things will blow up in an instant. He was looking out for my best interest from day one, which I really appreciate that. And, but, come race day, and I thought, you know what? We know what we're doing. And if it goes straight and everything's good and it doesn't feel like it's dropped holes or anything, we might as well leg it out a little bit. And shoot, I almost went 300 on my first full pole. I think it went 434 at 292. And that was my first time to the finish line in this beast. And I thought, damn. But it wasn't terribly different than my altered. The altered feels like you're going fast, even, if you're not going all that fast because of the open cockpit. You can kind of see the guardrail going by different, where this car, the windows are kind of out in front of you, and your peripheral vision is a little bit different. Obviously, you're not staring at a wall going by, but the peripheral is a little different. And this funny car, I tell you what, time you hit the throttle, you better be driving it, because you don't have time to let it develop. You better be on top of it from the first, tire rotation, and it just doesn't stop pulling until you get to the finish and hit the chutes. It's a beast. My car, not as fast as the big boys, but 250 miles an hour and half track is trucking, and to go almost 300 to finish from what I'm used to is pretty awesome. And keep doing what we're doing, and try not to run over my wallet.
That is certainly important, not running over your wallet. But yet I imagine running in particular with the IHRA, that, helps to be able to go in there, not make as many runs, and yet come away with a sizable check, even for qualifying, even for going out round one, much less runner-up or winning. How big of an impact is the IHRA already having? And I've got to say, from my end, it's big, because in talking with who you lost to and who you also won against this most recent time, Dale Worsham, he's like, man, it's working. We're getting more nitro cars to come out already.
Yeah, what a great opportunity that Daryl's given all of us, for him to spread his wealth a little bit, and without the return on investment. I mean, you're leaning, if you don't have any return, man, now it's sponsors, and how deep is your wallet, and how much money can you generate. And it's hard enough to make these things go, mechanically, and then to add the financial side of it, that can be, just exhausting as well. There's only so many hours in a day, and we do a lot as it is, and we got a lot on our plate, but what a golden opportunity. And I kind of feel it's a repeat story of how my fuel altered was ran, that it just sat in stationary until, Blake Bowser decided to run them at the March meet. And it was like, there was an opportunity. And with that, it got us rolling. And, we only ran like 4 outings or something that first year, but it was a start. And this kind of feels the same, that, here we are. We don't belong at the U.S. Nationals. People are asking me, why didn't you go there? And I'm like, with a car that'll run its best in the 20s, maybe we can run it teens or something. That's a non-qualifier at the Nationals, and all that corporate money and hospitality and just payroll and the whole bit, and that's their gig, and that's great. And that if I could ever get there someday, I wouldn't turn it down. But super ecstatic to be racing on the level, with guys like Dell and others. And he's not the only one. Mac Attack's got a bad car too. They're all just genuine, nice people. It's like your big show cars, but it feels like the sportsman side of the pits, like when we used to race Alcohol Funny Car, and everybody's hanging out after the races, and when you get there, and everybody invites you over to have a beer, just BS, and it's really personable, and it's good to get to know all these people even more. If I knew them before, I'm getting to know them better, and a lot of people I'm getting to know for the first time, and just to earn their respect. And I think they, some people knew of me, but now they're getting to know me even more. And I consider myself to be a good mechanic and a good fabricator, and pretty decent with the paint gun, and that's what my son Blaine does for a living now. And we kind of learned some of these things together, and I've taught him a few things that he's taken off, and now he does that for a living. And it's just super satisfying to know, with what we all put into it as a family and friends, and then to have it come out and pay back. I'm not one that sits back and just writes checks. If I can build it, I'll build it. And people think I have money, and I don't. I got 50,000 more right now, but it ain't going to go that far when you got a race car like this. But at the same time, my stuff looks looks good because elbow grease is free, and we got it by the drum. So we just spend a lot of effort making our stuff nice. We had to work our truck and trailer over. That thing had 3 wraps on it when I bought it, and we got over 200 hours as our guess on just peeling the wraps off, and your fingers are down to the nubs, and then we had to get all the glue off of it, and it's just on and on and on and on. We're always, working together and working hard, and now we look at this, this nice big rig, and it looks like $1 million, and we didn't pay that, but we surely like to get the most out of it, and it's just effort and attention to detail, and to have my boys kind of growing up with that same mentality that they got high standards, and it's not always about money. You gotta generate enough money to make certain things happen, but at the same time, just perseverance and effort, and and having the knowledge. We're always teaching each other something, or I'm showing them the ropes on how to TIG weld or run a mill or a lathe, and they're both hands on, and it's great because that's just the more that they can do is something that they can take off of my plate, and it just makes me prouder and prouder all the time. They're just fantastic kids, and my wife has always been there by my side. My quick story about how my first race ever was back when she was graduating high school, and I was I think I was a year out of high school, 2 years out of high school. And my very first sprint car race was the night of her graduation, and they just built this circle track in our hometown in Medford. And we kind of talked, and I said, "Man, I'm going to my first race, and I'm not going to make your graduation." And she kind of felt bad that she was going to graduation and missing my race, but we were young. We were only dating for like 6 months at that time, but I guess it was a little bit of a test for both of us, and she passed hers because she never really held it against me that I went to my first sprint car race. And, that was the beginning of Dan Hicks Racing. That was back in 1996.
Hang on. All right. You can hear me now. We're back. So with the remaining schedule, what can you make? Can you make Dragway 42? Can you make Galat as well, and finish out the IHRA Nitro Outlaw Series schedule with the 2 races that remain?
Yeah, we're going to do everything we can to make both of those last 2 races, those 8th mile races. We're a little bit cramped up at home right now. I got all my stuff still in the trailer, and I'm actually, my old boss Eric Kroom's flying out here from Washington. I got his front engine A fuel car that they bought from Drew and Pat Austin that we're finishing up, and it's leaving on Sunday, and then I can put my car back in my own shed, and we'll get her serviced up next weekend, and have things ready to go for Dragway 42. Never been there, never seen it, I've only been to a couple of 8th mile races, and they're hard to adjust because I'm just used to quarter mile racing, and to make yourself shut it off at half track it's kind of tough sometimes. You're ready to go, and it's over already. But we're gonna support. That was kind of the big push to go to that second race. We didn't intend to miss the first one. We just didn't feel like we belonged, and we were ready for it, and I wanted to go test. And I was pretty adamant I was going to run this car as a fuel altered for its first outing, and it just didn't work out. So we decided to make a change, and I thought, man, this Darrell guy's doing his part, and I wanted to make sure that they had enough cars. And I said, whether it was enough cars or not, if I showed up, at least it's +1 more. And I wanted to do my part to carry the torque, pay him back. He's doing his part. He's fixing up, buying all these tracks, tricking them out, putting the money down. And I mean, shoot, as racers, it's time to, you got to show up, get off the keyboard. Some of these guys, and if you got a car, quit talking about it, get it to the racetrack and see how you stack up. Shoot, I didn't think I stacked up that good, and look where I'm at. So you gotta be there to make it happen. And now that we've got our feet wet, like I said, we just kind of want to keep our nose clean and keep evolving, keep learning, keep moving forward. But at the same time, there's not a lot of meat on the bone left for us with the performance that we've already had. I mean, it's not going to run 4.0s. It's going to probably tap out at a high teen if I get there.
Right. Race cars are meant to be, well, raced. And if you don't have some historic piece that is museum quality, it shouldn't be sitting in the shop, shouldn't be sitting in a museum. Roll that thing out and put it in the beams and send it down the track, or sell it off into turn one, or, get on the binders going through the S's, or whatever it might be. Race cars should be raced. And hey, thanks for bringing that hot rod out. So much early success already, and doing what you can do as a team. And I think you are a great testament to what the IHRA is attempting to accomplish and is already accomplishing, because you're able to go out there, you're able to improve on your program, you're able to turn on win lights. You don't know what is going to happen in a race. And in a race that in drag racing is comprised of, with an 8-car field in this sense, 3 races to an ultimate winner. You don't know what's going to happen in each and every matchup. We can look at this race that happened at Columbus. I mean, the racers that won at Columbus the first time around didn't even qualify. Mike McIntyre Jr. and Scott Palmer. And then you look on paper, like Doug Foley should beat Larry Dixon, but Larry Dixon goes on to a final round. You look at it on paper, Jasmine Salinas with, top speed and low ET of the meet, and yet she doesn't make a final round. It is Sean Reed in a comeback and Dan Hicks for his first ever Fuel Funny Car win. Those are the winners. That is spectacular and great storylines, and the only way we get them is if that hot rod rolls out. So thank you, Dan.
I appreciate the time. And another little spiff there on with Sean Reed winning. That was the first car that I built when I moved here. Myself and Peanut and Hank, we all built both of Sean Reed's cars at Lucas, and he's a good dude, old boat racer guy, and he's a good guy to be around. He's fun and he's personable, and if you haven't met him in the pit, you got to go meet him. He's a great guy, and I hate to see him crash his car like that in Seattle, but he never lost his spirit, and he lost a digit, but he bounced right back. And pretty cool to have a little bit of an affiliation with him and Rob Winland of building that car. And he's in the winner's circle over there in Top Fuel, and I'm winning my first race in Funny Car. So a little bit more to the storyline than that. But yeah, some of the good people I met here in Brownsburg. I'm still friends with Peanut and Hank and Richie Crampton. He's been a big player in the world of drag racing with the cars coming out of Lucas, as well as Aaron Brooks. And so just to latch on to some of those people and their knowledge and the information, and put it in my soup bowl that just kind of keeps filling up with a pretty good recipe of soup going on in my world of drag racing.
Well, Dan, it's good to hear. And are you going to give Sean Reed that discount he was asking for after that win?
I'd love to build him a replacement car for the one that they crashed, because they're definitely going to build another one. But now I don't know which direction they're going on the future. And but we're here at the House of Speed, and we do nothing but top-notch work. And but we're on the level, so a lot of people already know of us, whether I front half their cars or mountain bodies or building their headers or whatever it may be. But yeah, we're here, and there's only a handful of chassis shops around that do this kind of stuff, and we're one of them, and pretty much everybody that's on this level does top-notch work. I'm gonna say that we're the best because we're just one of them. There's a lot of whether it be Murph's shop or Dan and Joe over at PBRC, I give those guys props. They all got mad skills and got good people and do good work, and the House of Speed's on that same level, and I'm here to represent.
Yeah, drag racing is definitely in a good spot right now, and in a much safer spot. The people that are building the chassis at this highest level. They're the best they've ever been. It's not like it is, 1981 or two, and you don't know, the craftsmanship of someone that has built and what you're about to get into, especially if you get in the most gnarly of situations. And Dan, whether it's driving or fabricating, getting the job done, and thank you for your time, and go on to Dragway 42 and continue the storylines, man.
All right. Appreciate it. Thanks for the interview, and thanks for the props. It's good to be a part of all of this. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate the time. Well, folks, that is Dan Hicks, the winner of the IHRA Nitro Outlaw Series race that just took place at Durana Raceway in Fuel Funny Car. Make sure give him a follow at Heat Seeker Racing. So that's one word, capitalized racing, and you'll be able to see him and be able to follow along with everything that he has got going on. Well, we're not done here on Between the Slicks. We're going to take a quick break, and then we will dive into some drag racing news and talk about things that have been going on in the world of drag racing, from stands that are supposedly empty or not, to alliances, to big announcements to yet be made. This word right here on Between the Slicks from, well, speaking of building hot rods, Hilton Hot Rods. Build some of the finest actual hot rods that you can come across. And if you're looking for a hot rod that very well might win you an award at a Good Guys meet or beyond, or just get all the looks at the cruise in, Hilton Hot Rods, they're the one to pick up the phone and order a hot rod from. Bobby Hilton knows how to win on the drag strip. Bobby Hilton knows how to win in hot rodding. Hilton Hot Rods out of the Commonwealth of Virginia builds some of the finest hot rods in the scene of hot rodding. And that's evident with multiple covers from Hot Rod Magazine and prestigious awards such as the Good Guys Hot Rod of the Year. If you want to ride to the hilt in your hot rod, it needs to be a Hilton Hot Rod. Well, dive into the comments section and let me know, what do you think is the top story so far? Or do you believe that we haven't reached the zenith of NHRA silly season announcements thus far this weekend? And if I was going to be in the comment section, I would say just that. We have not reached the top of the announcements that are going to be made concerning who is going where and who is selling this and who is acquiring that and who's partnering with who. We actually haven't seen the biggest of announcements. Keep your eye out on the news in the drag racing world rolling out from Reading, Pennsylvania, there at Maple Grove Raceway this weekend. Yes, the NHRA Mission Food Series is in action, along with Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series action there at Maple Grove Raceway. And that famed facility is once again going to host some great drag racing action. We have it as the first race of the NHRA Mission Foods Countdown Series 2, crowning an overall champion. Will the regular season champion and Tony Stewart and Fuel be able to go on and, well, even further submit his great, iconic motorsport status as a candidate for possibly the greatest motorsportist of the modern era? Can he go on and win a championship in NHRA drag racing and Top Fuel? Or is it Justin Ashley that will finally be able to, after being a championship contender for years now, to seal the deal? Or does Sean Langdon, Doug Coletta, or someone else roar up to the front and earn the championship? Can anybody stop Austin Thomas and Mr. Big Proc in the Proc Rocket? Maybe Jack Beckman. Maybe Alexis DeJory we talked to on Tuesday night. Who can stop Austin Proc? And then we look at the world of, well, Pro Stock and it has seemed all year that it's been a KB show, and they've been stealing it. But there are rays of hope in the elite camp going into the countdown. And then, can Matt Smith and Matt Smith Racing do anything against Vance and Hines? We've got a great championship stack ahead of us, and looking forward to enjoy the storylines through the countdown, where the rules are not made up and the points do matter, unlike it seemed like during the regular season in the NHRA. So, who's looking forward to the action there in Pennsylvania this weekend? Big announcements to come. We got big racing action on the scene. Before we dive in particular on the announcements, also racing action will be taking place in North Carolina, not too far from the Raleigh-Durham area, for Galat Motorsports Park and the PDRA Drag Racing Series. They are going to be racing this weekend as well. You can catch that action on Flow Racing, one of the best door slammer centric series that there is, with Pro Nitrous and Pro Boost, Extreme Pro Stock, and beyond. They are going to be duking it out at one of the finest, if not the finest, 8th mile facility in the world, Galat Motorsports Park. We cannot confirm any rumors here on Between the Slicks right now of any protracted purchase by the IHRA of the PDRA, but we do know that the PDRA goes to Galat Motorsports Park, and Galat is now an IHRA facility. And Galat can expect to host the last IHRA Nitro Outlaw Series race later on this year in the month of November, I believe it is. I think it's like the first weekend in November, if I can remember correctly, because it's the first weekend in November, and then the next weekend after the first weekend is Fuel Altered Chaos out there in Tucson, and then got a little bit of break rolling into the Thanksgiving holiday. This year has been moving along, and 2025 has had major, huge implications in the world of drag racing, and we're not done with that rolling into 2026. So, yesterday, wake up, I began looking at the emails for the press releases in the world of drag racing, and bombshell, Josh Hart announces that he's selling his operation. Now, he's looking for someone to buy his Top Fuel operation. And if you recall, Josh Hart got into Top Fuel ownership in a very different way. I don't think he ever quite intended to be a Top Fuel owner. It just worked out that way. And he has been successful, though the last 2 years have been a struggle. He's won national events. There's been great qualifying efforts. There has definitely been putting the drag racing world on notice of Josh Hart racing beyond the top alcohol dragster ranks and in the Top Fuel ranks. Remember, his first ever national event that he shows up to as a rookie in Top Fuel, he wins it there at the Gator Nationals. But he's looking to make a change. Now, he's going to finish out the rest of the year, apparently, but he also found that buyer. This deal had to be done, and the news just rolls out, and you see it in your inbox, and you see it as a press release to post and let the world know of this transition for Josh Hart. And just hours later, Elite Motorsports, who has been dabbling in nitro. Remember, they had Spencer Hyde in a partnership. I believe that was a Peyton car. And you have Elite Motorsports on it, and they fielded it at Pomona, and Spencer Hyde drives it, and a couple others have as well. And they've been dabbling in the nitro ranks. Well, Elite Motorsports purchases the Josh Hart Top Fuel operation. So we can expect them in NHRA Top Fuel to some capacity as Elite Motorsports outright in NHRA Top Fuel sometime in 2026. You can dive into the comment sections and notice that Josh Hart has been clear that he will finish out the 2026 season as Josh Hart Racing, but I don't think the announcements are quite done for Josh Hart. It remains to be seen of what we will have in 2026 with Josh Hart, but make sure And you can just go look at the NHRA schedule itself now. There are big announcements that are going to be taking place there at Maple Grove Raceway. You need to be paying attention tomorrow about some major announcements that will be historic for the sport of NHRA drag racing and drag racing as a whole. And then this morning, we get the announcement that there is an alliance between Elite Motorsports and Tony Stewart Racing for marketing, hospitality, and partnerships. So the drag racing news has just been rolling, and well, former individual to be on the show, Sarah Slaughter, she is over the PR of there at Elite Motorsports and also with SCAG. She's been busy typing away and getting these press releases out with all the news that has been coming out concerning, in particular, it seems like Elite Motorsports. Richard Freeman making moves once again in the sport of drag racing, already having the largest team in NHRA drag racing, and looking like the next Don Schumacher with a beard, mind you, here in the modern era of NHRA drag racing. You know, people always said, where would we be when Don is out of the sport and Don Schumacher Racing is not around? Well, here we are. People have always asked, where is the sport going to be with John Force not driving? Well, here we are. So it is bigger than just these iconic people, owners, and drivers in the sport. It's moving on, and it is moving forward. On these in particular, these announcements, and I want to focus in on some of the chatter that I can see in the comment sections. Well, we don't know who's going to be driving that Top Fuel dragster for Elite Motorsports. They have not specified. I would love to see a hired gun type of scenario, yet it has been also Richard Freeman's model that, you know, these cars are for rent and you've got people bringing money, and that's just the model in drag racing as it is right now. I would love to see it as a situation and scenario where there is a big-time sponsor and they're able to put someone in that seat. Someone in the comment section mentioned Gary Pritchett. That would be a great candidate to go into that seat along with a sponsor. But I would love to see it be a scenario like a Matty Gordon. Someone is going to have the right partners around them, and they've got the chops as a driver to step in a hot rod and wheel it well. I'd love to see that for Elite Motorsports. Certainly, Erica Enders has mentioned, and you've had the dabblings in nitro. Could we see Erica Enders possibly in a nitro car? I think it's going to happen eventually. Remember, she does have experience licensing beyond Superstock and Pro Stock. She has been in other hot rods, so she certainly could hop in a nitro car such as Top Fuel, and I think do stupendously well. But I don't think that's going to happen right away. I don't think that's on the radar for 2026. If you talk to Erica Enders, she is routinely adamant that her jam, as she likes to put it, is Pro Stock. And I don't think she's done in Pro Stock, and I definitely don't think she's done in Pro Stock even in 2025, running for this championship this year. What might happen? You might see Elite Motorsports, instead of it being a full pull with the Nitro program in 2026, they start out, get their feet wet with it being a part-time schedule, and they're able to fit into that car who they can. When you think about that, the candidates that are out there to step in an Elite Motorsports ride and it be field part-time, with a different cast of characters stepping into it, with those that are licensed out there, there's many. You've got Travis Shoemake. He could be a candidate. You've got Julie Natus. She could be a candidate. You've got Gary Pritchett, as stated before. He's a candidate. You've got people who can step into that hot rod, and they are able to get their feet wet, get a team gelled together for 2026 and beyond, and it be a part-time thing. Or, man, they might come out swinging and it be a full-time hot rod in 2026 in the top fuel ranks. On the Alliance side, I have seen already so many people, they don't quite grasp it. They're like, well, how is that going to work? Dodge and Chevy together. Chevy isn't with Elite Motorsports as a backing sponsor. Remember, there's Ford bodies in that camp. Granted, I know those pro stock cars are not Ford powered, but nonetheless, you've got in the camp Chevy bodies, Ford bodies. They're not backed in particular by General Motors, such as a Team Force is over there at Elite Motorsports. Also, the alliance that was announced, it is specific. It lays out that it is not a technical alliance. It is rather a marketing, partnership, and hospitality alliance. And we've already seen those elements in NHRA drag racing, though partnerships may have different entities. Remember, when Ron Capps goes Toyota, and he's now Ron Capps Motorsports, but he has a partnership still with the remaining Schumacher factory that is there, and it's a hospitality marketing partnership, even though there are different partners involved. So, what happens on the strip can be different from what happens in the pits when it concerns alliances and partnerships right now in the world of drag racing. And at that level of NHRA drag racing, hospitality is huge. That's why you see these teams making the investments that they have in hospitality. It is a massive element of marketing and the partnerships that they have, and taking care of those partners and giving a marketing platform. Hospitality is huge. So Tony Stewart Racing and Elite Motorsports partnering this way, it just strengthens those partnerships. It strengthens the marketing. It strengthens what they can do. And you're going to see with this type of partnership and more partnerships like it, well, marketing partners being spread across. They're getting more bang for their buck, and you have more marketing partners come along. That's the idea, to bring in more people and give them more bang for their buck. So that's good for Tony Stewart Racing. It's good for Elite Motorsports. It's good for the sport. And for everyone that thinks this is a bad deal for the sport of NHRA drag racing, I have to disagree. Richard Freeman is investing at this point his life into the sport and is making it here now in the present, and I think the future, better. Look, I don't agree with where pro stock is right now overall, but the class is alive, and you're not seeing it have less than 16 cars show up to make a field. I know that it might be just between mostly KB Titan. It might just be that Elite Motorsports is out there. You've got a few outliers and independents that show up every now and then. I think of like Beaver Motorsports. I think of Alan Perninsky and others. But nonetheless, it is alive. They've got full fields. There's a bump spot. There are those storylines of who is in and who is out. And you have also some interesting marketing partners in and out of the pro stock ranks. It may not be exactly what I want, because I would love to see bodies that look more like Factory X. I would love to see these teams have more OEM support. But nonetheless, I think in many regards that ship has sailed. And where it is now, I can still appreciate it as some spectacularly close competitive racing, where it may very well be one of the top classes where the driver is the most critical element on race day for what they have to do and manage, from burnout to staging to shifting to the stripe. Definitely the racer is elevated in that class. It's not exactly what I would love for it to be, but I can still appreciate it for what it is. And where it is definitely comes about from the people who are passionate about it, and most definitely most passionate about it because it's their money and their word that they have put into it, such as Mr. Richard Freeman. It is going to be interesting what he has as far as endeavors in the future. If you are buying one nitro car, well, why not have another and it have a body on it that flips up and down? So in the future, Richard Freeman as the next Don Schumacher might certainly be a reality. It's already very, very eerily close to that. Also, remember that Elite Motorsports goes well beyond the world of drag racing than just what cars they field. You know, someone that I help right now in the drag racing world, and Phil Ez, he just purchased a new toter home from where? Elite Motorsports. A lot of people out there right now in the sport, they are enjoying their race weekend in a toter home, in a motor coach that was purchased from Elite Motorsports. There are many others that are competing with Elite Motorsports horsepower in their hot rods across the board, whether it's Top Alcohol, Funny Car, into the Pro Mod ranks and beyond. Elite Motorsports is far deeper and even far bigger than just the Pro Stock side and now the Nitro side. So for everyone that's like, oh, this alliance and this and that, it is first and foremost a marketing, hospitality, and partnership alliance for them in the sport of NHRA drag racing. We are certainly in fascinating times in the sport. I want to close with this. Here recently, whether it has been the statements from Jack Capella and Cycle Drag, whether you've got someone such as Mighty Mac making a post in a rebuttal, I think the arguments of fan attendance right now in drag racing is one that people love to pick a camp. They are either picking a camp that the sport is belly up and it's dying, or it's dead and that's why no one is attending, or they are saying that it's alive and well and there's not an attendance problem at all. And I think that the attendance matter concerning drag racing is a nuanced topic and matter. You know, depending on where you pull a photo from and what time of the day and what day of a drag race it was, you can make arguments either way. The old idiom is that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and those 1,000 words can be whatever you want those 1,000 words to be, crafting and spinning a narrative depending on when the photo was taken. Here recently, this past weekend, US 131 Motorsports Park, they know how to put on a solid event. They had their Funny Car Nationals with the Midwest Drag Racing Series also in-house, along with Extreme Top Fuel and many other series. They're in competition with match racing and points championship chasing. Nonetheless, there is a great photo out there on social media. The semifinals, the stands are filled. But from the semifinals to the final round, whenever the final round was run for these Pro Mod cars, there was nobody in the stands. Well, that's a tale of two stories that could be spun. You could take the photo from the final, and even though it's the final, even though people purchase a ticket, even though they purchase hot dogs, even though they bought t-shirts, even though they got hero cards signed, even though they saw action in the day, they had already left. But you could take that photo and say nobody was there. Or you could take the photo from the semifinals and say that it was packed. And I think it's really a story of both. I really think the issue right now in drag racing and where we are in the sport, when you look at other sports, and yes, stick and ball sports, I am referring to stick and ball sports. And you may say, well, Lee, stick and ball sports and drag racing are not the same thing. No, they're not the same thing, but they are this. They're entertainment. Either way, both are competitive entertainment. I think where we are right now in this day in which people consume entertainment, whether it is pure entertainment, such as a film or a series on a streaming platform, or it is competitive entertainment, if that's baseball, basketball, football, and into motorsports, we have to look at a time window. Right now, a drag race is a long day. I think what we've got to be talking about is average overall attendance throughout an event. And drag racing right now, I don't think it's winning that battle. You look at average overall attendance through like the U.S. Nationals, that was really a good crowd. Look at the people it drawed over all the days that the U.S. Nationals is going on or that a national event is going on. You have to really put drag racing and a national event in particular in that scope. How many came in over all these days? But concerning eliminations, Sunday or Saturday, whatever the event is, for that to look good and have those good optics and you not take a photo in the final and go like, where is everybody? Because they're no longer there, but they were all there during round 2. We've got to work on the overall average package of duration for a fan on race day. That is what we got to work on. I think right now the IHRA has the best opportunity to really do some revolutionary work within the sport of drag racing, to think a little bit less drag racing national event and begin to work towards something in the future, for the future, and the way in which people consume entertainment. You know, there is really no confusion on what day currently to go to a NASCAR Cup race. I'm going Sunday. There's really no confusion right now. If I was going to go see the truck race tonight, it's tonight. There's no confusion on what day to go see an IndyCar event. It's race day, other than outside of the Indianapolis 500 and the pageantry and the work and the qualifying days that works up to it. Nonetheless, I know what day is the big day. We've got to work on in drag racing Eliminations Day and it being packaged right, where from round 1 to final round, people are hooked, engaged, and captivated on what's happening on the track and in the pits, and they stay. We've got to shorten that window. We've got to fit it in, I think, to that football time frame. Because whether you're a football fan or not, and if you're not a football fan, you are an exception. We live in this culture of the United States of America in a football-dominated culture. What is the most viewed? Football. What is the most consumed? Football. We got to figure out how to fit in that window. And that is no dilemma that is strange to other sports. Baseball's trying to quicken the show. There's a shot clock in the NBA. All of these things. We got to work on that. I don't think it's an issue of drag racing is dying. I don't think it's an issue of drag racing is even just alive and well. I think we're right now, the issue is who's going to revolutionize drag racing for consumption as competitive entertainment. That's where we're at. Picture can tell 1,000 words, but depending on when you took that photo, you're setting up the 1,000 words you want it to be. I know this. From Mocan Dragway and seeing a packed stand to the U.S. Nationals being successful to growth at the IHRA, this most recent event, though the stands were not slammed or packed, nonetheless, growth in a crowd. I think drag racing is doing just fine with its diversity and how it's moving forward. The next step is how to revolutionize it for consumption as competitive entertainment. That's my thoughts. To each and every one of you, thank you for tuning in. I think we've had a good show. Great to talk with Dan Hicks and allow him to tell his story. And you hear that great story coming out of the IHRA, this longtime drag racer who has been in the fuel altered ranks and has done so much, whether it's Bakersfield or Nightfire Nationals and beyond, building these cars, racing these cars. That is a cool story. So, Dan, thank you for your time. Thank you for your time, you that are watching, and stay tuned in to Monday Morning Racer, because still big news for the world of drag racing is going to drop. Thank you for your time. All of this brought to you by McKinney Corp. So, very thankful to Murph McKinney in the shop there. If you need a top fuel dragster build, you need a fuel funny car build, if you even need a gasser build for the Southeast Gassers Association, reach out to McKinney Corp. They've got all of your fabrication needs right there as your source. So, word for them, and then we'll close out the show with a word from Ultrasonic LLC. Get your parts cleaned the ultrasonic way. God bless, and keep the pedal to the metal.
McKinney Motorsports is your #1 source for all your chassis needs. McKinney Motorsports is the leading chassis parts supplier and fabricator in nitro drag racing. From custom tanks and fittings, full chassis builds, body mounts, steering components, fasteners, tabs, clamps, composite parts, and much more. Our household name in the racing world guarantees added performance on the track. Join our list of proven winners that spans over 50 years of racing experience.